Welcome all to this session on Uniformed Forces. Does integration lead to equality? I am your moderator for this session. My name is Gunjan Shah. I'm a corporate lawyer, a partner at Shardul Amarchand, and a Kamal Nayan Bajaj fellow. The subject that we have for discussion today is particularly prevalent and relevant to our conversation and our society today, given that the Supreme Court of India needed to intervene as recently as 2020 to pave the path for greater inclusion of women in the Indian Army at the highest possible level. It took years of litigation before the Supreme Court directed the government to allow women to write the entrance exam to the National Defense Academy. Even today, women are excluded from most combat roles in the Indian Army and constitute a small fraction of the 1.3 million people who serve in the Indian Armed Forces. Although my data is a little bit old, but as of a couple of years ago, women constituted only 13% of the Indian Air Force, 6% of the Indian Navy, 3.81% of the Indian Army, and about 12% of the police force. It is clear that a lot of work needs to be done to achieve the levels of gender parity that we would all like to see in our uniformed forces. We have a number of challenging and difficult questions up for discussion today. Fortunately, we're joined today by three amazing panelists who have served our nation in uniform and have traversed a path stereotypically considered to be the male bastion. Let me begin with a quick round of introductions in alphabetical order. Our first panelist is Aparna Kumar. Aparna is an IPS officer. She joined the police force in 2002 and is part of the UP cadre. Apart from her work in the police force, Aparna is an avid mountaineer. She has already climbed 7 summits and has won several accolades and awards for her service to the nation and in athletics. Among several others, Aparna has won the UP Yash Bharti Award, which is the highest civilian honor in the state of UP, and has won the UP Lakshmi Bai Bravery Award. Our next panelist today is Wing Commander Neelu Khatri. Neelu is an ex-Indian Air Force officer. She joined the Indian Air Force in 1993 and was part of the initial batch of women officers. She served the Indian Air Force for 15 years and then moved over to the corporate sector, where amongst other places, she worked at KPMG and at Honeywell. Neelu is currently part of the founding team at Akasa Air. Our last panelist for today is Major General Dr. Sagarika Patyal. Dr. Patyal is a senior consultant at the Center for Sight in New Delhi. She has previously served as head of department ophthalmology at the Army Hospital RNR and the Army Cant Hospital in New Delhi. She has also served as a professor at the Army Medical College in Pune and has been the only lady officer to have commanded the highest general hospital in the world at Leh. Dr. Patyal is a much decorated officer, and among several other awards, she has won the Vishisht Seva Medal and the Sena Medal. Thank you again to our panelists for joining us today. Aparna, Neelu, Dr. Patyal, we would request each one of you to share with us your journey in the services, particularly, with a special focus on 3 fundamental questions in respect of your service. First, is there sufficient awareness about gender parity in your service? Is this an issue people think about? And is this an issue people want to do something about? Second, are there any constraints in achieving gender parity in your service, both at the senior leadership level as well as the junior level? And third, are you aware of any innovative practices or other genuine efforts having been made to achieve greater gender parity in your service, again, both at the senior leadership level as well as the junior level. Aparna, maybe we begin with you. May we request you to share your thoughts with us in about 7 minutes.
Thank you very much, Gunjan, and good evening to all the esteemed panelists. I thought the hardest part would be climbing the biggest mountain in the world. Instead, the greatest challenge has been changing societal perceptions, expectations about what a woman's place is, what she can do or not do. Personally, I feel a woman's place is wherever she wants to be. There should never be a limit, boundary to what anyone can do, be, or achieve. I've served in the Uttar Pradesh police for 16 years till 2017. And in Uttar Pradesh police, yes, there is a lot of trials and also initiatives to recruit women from the constabulary and at all levels. But it is government specific and it's a government initiative. And at the end of the day, it depends on an individual's initiative, a leadership vision that people take. Women and men integrate under different conditions. Women start with inherent disadvantages. The idea of equality through integration is enticing, but if it celebrates maleness, adhering to or fulfilling standards established for men, outlook that you either fit in, adjust, you work or you don't. If male standards, patriarchy is central to integration logics, then it has the inherent potential to backfire and undermine all the efforts. Integration as a strategy to promote opportunity and equality is definitely a priority, but it must include the real stuff. The real stuff, whether I'm posted in the Uttar Pradesh police or I'm on central deputation to the Indo-Tibetan border police, the real stuff or concrete measures or resolutions would be like access, opportunities, representation, equal sharing of resources, participation in economic, social, political, civil, societal life, focus on addressing barriers facing women like sustained recruitment, training campaigns, appointment, development, deployment, eliminate cultural, traditional, conservative obstacles, institutional culture, policies that hamper recruitment, posting, deployment of women across all levels of the organization, counter gender stereotypes, introduce family-friendly policies, short-term rotational shifts, include infrastructure, accommodation, equipment, gear, which addresses specific needs of women, improve facilities to retain women and implement mentorship programs, develop institutional standards which eliminate harassment, abuse, and ensure their safety and security. Discrimination, bias, stigma is real, let's face it, and it has tangible effects on integration. Good intentions are not enough. Individual initiatives are not enough. These biases, mindsets must be challenged with concrete measures. There is a strong link between gender equality in society, attitudes and beliefs about the role of women, and gender equality at workplace. One cannot be achieved without the other. Women have traditionally been and remain underrepresented in the forces, and relatively few women at senior levels and often concentrated. It's unfortunate that they are concentrated in administrative support, logistics, legal and medical positions. Mostly police and the central armed police forces like the BSF, CRPF, Indo-Tibetan border police, the SSB, Assam Rifles, and they embody a traditional conservative culture and in some ways a macho culture. These are, and there are impossible and unrealistic expectations on women to integrate and be equal to men, and at the same time be unique and different as women and prove themselves on standards set by men for men, their territory, their brotherhood, their domains, their battalions, their units, and prove that women deserve to be there. It is exhausting and tiresome sometimes, most of the time. It's a no-win situation where women are judged on masculine standards, especially for postings in the field, key positions, operations, tactics, and hardcore combat roles. Mindsets have to change to accept women in all roles without any bias and added stigma. It is significant to focus on mainstreaming gender and gender perspectives at all levels, from being like diverse dynamic recruitment campaigns, training, retention, career development, postings to key positions, combat and leadership roles, and ultimately women heading most of the state police forces and central armed police forces like the BSF, CRPF, ITBP, SSB, Assam Rifles, or any other force for that matter. Today, it becomes even more relevant to integrate a gender perspective within the forces and externally to maximize operation effectiveness and promote equality. A diverse force that reflects the demographic composition of the country enjoys greater legitimacy. I came to Indo-Tibetan Border Police in 2017 on central deputation. And after I joined the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, I was posted as DIG Sector Dehradun, which has 5 border battalions. They are deployed along the Indo-Tibetan, that is the Indo-China, China-occupied Tibet border. And the border outposts are at a height of, range from a height of 12,000 feet to 18,000 feet. No women are present in any of these border outposts. Some of them, because I was the sector DIG, some of the women were posted in the border outposts, which were closer to the highway or the road heads. Apart from this, we have tactical exercises with troops, without troops in the field, and battalion operational exercises, unit operational exercises, sector operational exercises, and brigade operation alert and exercises, wherein I am the only person representing the sector. I'm the only woman. I don't have any officers, whether it is at the assistant commandant level or the deputy commandant or the commandants. None of the border battalions are headed by a female lady commandant or even a deputy commandant. So I'm the only person in any of these operation alerts in the brigade, whether it's in the brigade or at the army headquarters. And I don't see any lady officer even at the brigade or at the field army headquarters. So it may be very thrilling and fascinating to be the only lady taking a team of 50 men to the brigade and participating in the operational alert or operational exercises. But it is it's not for a greater good. After me, who is there? Now, after I remember a small incident when I had gone to a operational alert in a brigade. I had to use the washroom. So I requested where the washroom is. I went into the washroom, and there were 2-3 urinals, and then there was a toilet inside. So I just went inside because I thought it was earmarked for me. Then I realized when I was inside the toilet that the urinal was being used by other officers. That was a shock to me because I could not come out of the toilet. So it's just that I was the only female officer, and they didn't have the sensitivity to earmark a toilet for me. So it's just that you fit in, or you adjust, or you just deal with it. And now I'm because I got promoted as Inspector General, I'm now posted as Director of the Mussoorie ITBP Academy, where ITBP officers are trained. 1962, 4 units of the ITBP was raised. From 1962 to till now, almost 60 years, I'm the first lady officer to head the Mussoorie ITBP Academy. And it may be very thrilling or fascinating, or it may be a matter of pride. But at the end of the day, after me, what? Who is there to head? There is no continuity. I would have been very happy if after I was heading the Dehradun sector, if there was a lady officer who succeeded me. But unfortunately, there is no lady officer at my level. And after I go out of the Mussoorie ITBP Academy, I don't think the next 15, 20 years, there will be a lady officer heading the academy. So this is the reality of the situation. Number matters, but you cannot just add women and steer. So women have to be deployed across the organizations at all levels. Broad structural changes, cultural shifts, and changes in society, economic, political, civil life is required. Change is always tough, uncomfortable, threatening, but is critical to achieve equality. Men cannot be fence sitters. Everywhere they outnumber women, they have to take active role and be champions for promoting equality. Yes, we have come a long way, but to take 70 to 60 years to achieve this is far too long. There is immense work to be done to encourage participation of women in forces, appointing, deploying them in key positions, operations, tactics, in the field where it matters, in hardcore combat roles as leaders, create enabling environments and ensure their experiences and opportunities are equitable. I cannot stress the importance of action plans, initiatives, strategies, interventions, incentives, change the status quo and accelerate access, assimilation, and progress at a faster pace than it is happening. There is a serious need to fast track gender mainstreaming in the police and CAPFs and overcome the existing inertia. I think we should be striving for a gender expansive society. When gender is a binary, it's a battlefield. When you get rid of the binary, then the gender is a playground. Eventually, women are going to excel in the so-called male territories, domains. It's just a matter of time. Generational change, cultural change, opportunity, access, representation, and visibility. And yes, because of the Vishaka judgment, the Internal Complaints Committee is in full force, especially in the Indo-Tibetan border police. And because I was DIG sector of Dehradun, I was the chairman of the Internal Complaints Committee, and we ensured, me and my team ensured that the complaints, and we hold monthly meetings and have, Monday request rooms and have interviews, counseling, and any complaints regarding whether it be harassment or abuse or any things related to their career development, they could come freely and talk to me, have a conversation. We would be very, very happy to solve their problems. But it's because, and most of the time it becomes individual specific, and the initiatives that a particular individual takes, it is not systematized it's not institutionalized in the organization. This is the drawback that we have. But I'm still hopeful that more women, there are more representation, more visibility, appointments in key position where it matters will make a meaningful difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aparna. Neelu, may we request you to share your thoughts for about 7 minutes, please?
Sure, Kunjan, thank you. And extremely well spoken, Aparna ji. Very, very similar to some of the thoughts that I had prepared and my own experience. So I was commissioned in 1993 from the second batch of women officers, first batch of logistics officers. And, the pilots had yet not come in when we came in. And the reasons they had come up was, we are first testing women on ground. If they do well, then we will think of getting the pilots, and that's what happened actually on ground. So it brings me to a very interesting insight, which has been my experience from the defense forces. Do we know that, when the machines were getting designed, something like a fighter jet or a helicopter or a, cabin of a ship, they were actually being designed by some of the elitist engineers of the world in Europe and US, keeping men in mind, right? So therefore came the length of the leg to be fitted in a fighter jet. Now, what happened 70 years or 80 years, or I don't know what year was that made, actually became a curse for women forces in the centuries that we are living now. So now it took us, so I was commissioned in 1993, and the first batch of fighter jet, women actually just came in a couple of years back, right, with 3 fighter pilots being chosen. And all this while, when I was in the Air Force, we kept hearing that the leg length of women did not match, that they could not sit in a fighter jet. Who decided that leg length? So I am thoroughly, it doesn't even get me angry, actually. It just amuses me on the kind of society we live in. And it makes me think probably, 50,000 years of humankind on how our thinking has been. So am I happy to be part of the organization? Of course I am. Am I proud to be part of being, an Indian Air Force officer? Absolutely, yes. I took thrill in, being in uniform, and I have done activities that, to the best of my capabilities. I served 15 years. And I think, Gunjan, you were talking about the PC being granted much later. So I was because we were from the initial batches, I had to leave in 15 years because the decision to grant permanent commission to me was not taken while I was in uniform. And once I left and I joined the corporate world, I was enjoying the other side, and I was seeing another world, doing my different learnings. I was happy and I was very contented, and I said, okay, it's done and this is good. And 2 years later, we won the court case, and we were actually brought back into the Air Force without losing our 2 years of seniority or pay. And many of my colleagues went back. Probably I was the only fool who didn't go back, but many of them went back. And what happened to people who went back? They're all my course mates. We keep speaking. They're still being judged at the level of, years that they joined with their juniors. So it's a personal, discontentment that these women are facing. So it's not a very rosy picture that they have gotten back and are doing exceptionally well. They are just probably taking time to get their pensions because they think they deserve it. And of course they deserve it. So all of that happened. I will probably go back to 1993 when I was commissioned. First of all, we've had ladies who've served Indian Army. I mean, we have General Patyal with us right now, and I'm so privileged to be sharing this platform with you, ma'am. And to my understanding, I think the nurses and the doctors have been serving ever since the Second World War. I remember vaguely reading somewhere that there were, 30 to 35 women who were killed in World War who were into the nursing and doctor profession. So that also brings me to another point. Defense forces or security personnel is like any other profession, right? It could be a profession of a banker, a teacher, or anything that you can talk about, right? I think the biggest difference that comes with this profession is that in this profession, you actually have to sign a bond or be aware that along with this profession, you're signing up to lay down your life. That means it's going to be very, very challenging, right? So when I'm choosing a profession, I know that I have that, decision or this is something that's going to be something that I need to do, lay down my life for my country. And I'm doing it with all awareness. And that's the pride of a soldier to do. Now, who is the organization thinking of when they say, okay, a man can lay down the life, a woman can't? So those are the things that really, foxes me even till date. Why don't I get that choice to be made? And they will say, oh, we don't. And these are real problems that Aparna ji talked about. Toilets not there. They're not inducting women because there are not enough toilets. Why don't we go and just make a few more toilets? There are no infrastructures. So Gunjan, probably you spoke about the percentages, but my understanding is it's much less. So army probably is, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's much less than 13% that you spoke about. And that's not a...
I said 3.8% in the Indian Army.
Okay, so it's yeah. So take about the men in the number of men. I think it's you're talking about 12 lakh men in the army, and you're talking about 6,000 women. I mean, that's no kind of percentage at all. So a few things that I will talk about is when we brought in women, especially my experience in the first few years, we were just paraded out on various uniformed shows, parades, some celebrities coming in, prime ministers, president walking in, and we were just made to stand up and salute. And I remember the time when I actually picked up, I'm a biker, by the way, so I would just pick up my motorcycle and I crossed my AOC, Air Officer Commanding, because as an officer you're not supposed to overtake their vehicle. And I overtook him just to get his attention, to say, I did not come here only to salute. And that happened for about 9 to 10 months. I did not get an interesting role for almost about 10 months. We were just on saluting duties. Or, when you went out in the evening for social dues, we had senior or colleagues coming and saying, we look, you like my sister, you like my daughter. And I had to stand up and say, I'm not your daughter. I have a father at home. I'm not your sister. I have a brother at home. I came here to work. So I think we've come a long way from 1993. A lot of my mindset has changed and the policies have come in. Is it enough? I think it's too little, too less in the 26 or 27 years that I have seen. Thank you.
Thank you, Neelu. Dr. Patial, may we request you to share your thoughts with us, please?
Thank you so much. First of all, Neelu, Aparna, I hope you don't mind my calling you by your names. It's very enlightening to hear you all. I am going to talk about something which probably you all have already talked about, but it's more on a personal note. I am the daughter of an AMC officer, of a doctor. I grew up in the AMC. And I'm going to talk about my father, who was at that time a captain, major, and he was the registrar, senior registrar of Command Hospital, Pune. And he had a young lady who was a doctor. She was a gynecologist, and she was expecting a baby. And if you know that our duties in the hospital, they range from DMO duties plus external duties. DMO duties means you pack your bags and you stay in the hospital. You might get an hour off to go along and have lunch at home. And after that, you stay the whole day and night and look after all the patients. You may go back again in the morning for about an hour or two, again, come back and do the rest of your duties, whether it's surgery or whatever. Now, my father realized that it is not possible for a lady who's pregnant and then having a child to do DMO duties. Who will look after the baby? Now, this was when? This was in 1960s. What I want to bring out in this is that it is the men whom you live with who are empathetic towards you and your woes and problems. When you don't stretch out your hand and say, I want this. We are not here as ladies to say, I want. No. You can and we can fight our way through anything and everything. But we need a little bit of a helping hand. And where does that help come from? That help comes from men who are perhaps in those fields or those stations or those positions where they understand that a woman's needs are different from a man. Now, vis-a-vis, there I was, I joined the army and I had my baby after a lot of problems. And after 1 month of a cesarean section, I was doing the same DMO duties. Where went the baby's feeds? All in the wind. The baby was put on bottle feed. Simple things. Ladies, we are women. We have certain biological and physiological needs. We are not only women, remember, we are mothers. And what a woman can do, remember, a man cannot do. Let's understand this physiological difference that is there between men and women. It is our attitude towards it. So what did I do? I said, all right, doesn't matter. My baby will go on to the bottle feed and I will do my duties as per the others. Why did I do it? Number one, I had donned on the uniform. I had seen my father. I had only seen the army, except for doing medical college in Calcutta. That was civil life for me. The rest of it was all army. I knew how we were so proud of our traditions. Our attitude towards our work was always positive, always strong. And then, did I lose out on anything? No, I merely gained. I merely gained in the fact that all the people whom I worked with, whether they were my peers, whether they were my juniors, or whether they were my seniors, they always held me in respect. So I think that is what a woman needs to do. Hold on to what she thinks is absolutely right and go ahead and do it. But the men also, along with him, who are working with her, they have to be empathetic. Remember that what I am talking about is the Army Medical Corps, which Nilu said, we've been there since times immemorial. But Nilu, I must correct you on one thing. Do not think that we have not faced biases. We have. Those biases I'm not going to go into because those are personal biases. But the way to go ahead is to have a realistic attitude towards everything. I will give you a small example. I was commanding 153 General Hospital. Nilu, I admire the guys and the girls who were there in the Air Force. It's because of you guys that we managed to save so many lives. One tinkle and they would be there. I mean, I hold you all with so much of it. I hold you all in so much of respect. Now, over here, I never ever had I would just do things which were totally different. Like I realized that the people over there, they had no idea what is rescue operations if there was a massive, let's say, an earthquake or the water, what is that known as? The water coming in suddenly. There's some particular name for that. No, anyway, they didn't know. So we just organized the teachers to come along and learn how to do fire lifting, how to hold a patient who probably had broken legs, broken hands, how to take the pulse, how to take the blood pressure. So a lady is able to think out of the box. And when you think out of the box, mind you, a lot of men are able to do it, but ladies are able to do it. This is our strong point. We do not allow anything to come in front of her. In Leh, they had built beautiful KLP. You know what is KLP? And that was just behind the hospital. And the headquarters, corps headquarters, they wanted to take that. And every time I'd come to know that somebody from the corps headquarters is coming, I knew that, okay, they were after that entire KLP, which was meant for the boys of 153GH. I would just get into my car and scoot them. And he would tell me, man, there is no need for you to come. I said, no, I need to. And fight it out so that none of my rooms were taken up by them. So you can fight our battle. We are very capable of fighting our battles. We are very, very, very good. As for Aparna, what she said regarding toilets, It's a very genuine problem. But ma'am, I'd like to tell you something. Do you know, I have thought a lot about this. Suppose, for example, my husband was in the infantry and their battalion has just come down from that ridge on Pingangso. They were told, move, and they moved. How soon did they move? In hours' time. Did they have proper clothing? No. Did they have proper sheeting or let's say a tentage? No. Where did they sleep? Bare ground. Where did they go to the loo? Bare ground. Can we do that? Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Remember, what our needs are not the needs of men. What we need to be is staunch in our beliefs. We believe this is right. We believe we can do it. And what you said, Aparna, I believe, and I do it, and I've done it. Be a mentor. But I do not differentiate between male and female. If there's a young doctor who needs to be mentored, I will mentor. I will mentor that person. It is when we ladies get this kida in our heads that, this is a male, this is a female, and start doing differentiation, we are the ones who are creating these problems. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I have seen my own husband, when he was commanding, let's say, various brigades, corps, whatever, he would not talk to a lady without having a second person in the room. Do you know why? He'd tell me, I don't want problems. Do you know why? That many of us, unfortunately, like to use a certain situation to help us. I'm sorry, that's the truth. He never spoke. He always gave them their due. One of the ladies has just won a VSM. She told me, phoned me up and told me, ma'am, sir was the first one to have recommended me for a VSM. I got chief's commendation for the work I did. Now, mind you, this girl whom I'm talking about is a lieutenant colonel. She had multiple problems, multiples. Mother issue, mother was blind. Father died, leaving a blind brother. Brother, schizophrenic. Husband, cancer. Young boy, young son. What did this girl do? Fought it out. Kept on to her resilience. And that is, ladies, what we have. Resilience. An attitude to fight it out, but fight it out the right way. We've come a long way. These girls, Neelu and all, really had a tough time. They had a tough time. We didn't, not that much. People had biases. He said, "Okay, go ahead, no problems. We will manage." And we managed because of things that I've told you. Never take anything that this is a problem. Arey, problem hai to kya hai? We will sort it out. Remember, this is there in us. And we have resilience. We have thought. We can think out of the box. Our attitude is correct. But remember, the other way, their attitude is also not wrong. It is our society. When the child is born, ladka hua, bahut khushi hui, ladki hui, ha, Lakshmi hi hui. Understand? But now that trend is changing. Look at our society. Let's not say 60 years, 70 years. See how far we have climbed. Just see how far we have climbed. Do you think Everest was climbed by one step in 1 year? No. Lots of people have climbed it, tried and tried and tried and tried, and that's how they have climbed it. And that is what we ladies are doing now. And I'm so proud of the youngsters that they're keeping on and on trying that, okay, we are going to achieve this and we will achieve. And believe me, all my blessings are with them because they will achieve it, provided we all have the correct attitude, a realistic way of thinking. And remember that lots of us are getting married to people who from the infantry, from the artillery, from the armored, from the other services. What are they doing? They now understand that my wife has this problem. Therefore, the lady in my unit also has the same problem. Please understand this. They were not exposed to this. But once they were exposed, they are after all human beings. They understand that this can be done and this should be looked after. I think I've exceeded my time. Isn't it, Gunjan? So I should stop. So thank you so much for giving me your time and listening.
Thank you, Dr. Padyal. That was extremely insightful. So thank you to each one of you for your comments. What is amazing is how each one of you spoke about how we are measured against male standards in institutions which are designed for men and by men. We have a long way off.
I would like to say something because I forgot. Neelu, you pointed out about the leg length. You know, I was doing a study and I found that. But do you know that when you have a car, simple car, you, I, all of us drive it. Those of us who are short, we sit on a big cushion, right? Now that they should have thought about that also. It's such a simple thing. It's on the roads, used by everyone, let alone a huge big aeroplane. So, as I said, let's be realistic.
Sure, thank you. Okay, so our next segment is a Q&A session with all of you. I have a few questions and our audience has also asked a few questions which I will relay to you. So the first question that I have is actually for each one of you, and it is touching on the theme of our conversation today. The main topic for our discussion is, does integration lead to equality? As a complete outsider to the world of the uniformed forces, it appears to me that a lot more needs to be done to create an environment for women to flourish. Would request each one of you to share your thoughts about actual concrete steps and actions that need to be and can be taken to support the growth of women in the uniformed forces. Aparna, maybe we begin with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neelu ma'am and Major General Sagarika ma'am. It was really, I'm really grateful to listen to you and really thankful for your insightful words. About the like integration per se will not lead to equality. That's my personal opinion. We need a lot of concrete measures, the real stuff, starting from a diverse, dynamic recruitment campaigns, training, gender training, career development, and simple things like, gender sensitive, women friendly equipments, gear, accessories, and facilities. If a woman is deployed at the borders, then what are the facilities and infrastructure that she would require? And especially at the higher altitudes during the winters, from November to March, everything is frozen. The toilets gets frozen, and biologically we are different. We have menstruation every month. So how will a woman survive in those areas? And when I'm saying from December to March, they're completely cut off from the mainland. Anything, whether it's ration or medical emergencies, then a helicopter goes and evacuates them, or ration is dumped through the helicopter. We have annual dumping of fuel to ration to vegetables, tinned items and everything. So when we have to deploy women at such areas, then we need to have infrastructure, facilities that are women friendly. And it's again, when I say that women can excel anywhere, it's just that they need to get access and the opportunity to go there. In the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, what I see is, in the office, in administrative posts, yes, women are most welcome. But when it is in the field, where in the hardcore combat areas, then there is a problem, because women are biologically different and they will require certain facilities and infrastructural developments which will facilitate their deployment and efficient working in these areas. So structural changes at every level and change of mindsets is required. And I'm sure, like ma'am said, like Sagarika ma'am said, yes, with the right attitude and the resilience that women have, we can survive anywhere, and provided we get a little bit of support and the push and the nurturing.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you. Neelu,
Yeah, sure. So Gunjan, I think very similar to what Aparna ma'am is talking about, just a few pointers, where I differ is there is a very strong organizational macro level thinking that is needed for these forces. It can't have individuals, enthusiasm to be responsible for this growth. You can't have that. You need to get this straight, saying that these are the vacancies that will only be filled by women. And these are the percentage. How do you improve percentages? Percentages can only be improved by incoming, breadth of women joining. What Aparna ji was talking is absolutely true. It took 70, 80 years for the first woman to become take that position that she's sitting on. And then she sees no pipeline. It's every organization's responsibility to create that pipeline. So I somehow, on a personal level, do not believe that individual enthusiasm can change the organization's DNA of having the percentage more. So that is my first point. And the second point, of course, is, are we geared up for such kind of inclusion or, women forces joining? So do we have enough infrastructure for them? Do we have the policies of maternity being taken care of in their absence? Because women will, General Patyal was talking so beautifully about, we are women. I'm proud to have 2 children, and when I look back, I also think I made a big mistake that coming under the pressure of men, I joined after a month of maternity leave. I should not have done that, because then your body suffers later. I did not feed my older child. I was more sane during the second kid. In the first kid, because we were so few of us, 17, 18 women, 1 woman in a unit, wherein we were always told, ye log aake college ka environment bana dete hain. Second thing was, don't give them any serious positions. Third thing was, oh, lady officer aa rahi hai, let's not get her into our unit, give her something administrative or something like that. We faced all of that. And, just cater to that, I was kind of outperforming to who I was not. And that's what the organization needs. So if you're taking, let's say, 40% of women in the organization, let's say as a policy, then you cater to that 40%, that out of these 40%, between 20 to 30, 35, these many people will go on maternity. So therefore cater to that absence. And then there is no individual pressure.
Thank you, Neelu. Dr. Patyal?
Blame it on my gray hair and the fact that I have served for so long in the army. Blame it on the fact that maybe my father, my husband, my brothers-in-law, all of us are all army folks. We've seen it looking. There are, strides have been made, huge strides. As I said, that Everest was not climbed in a day. It takes a lot of effort. You just think of the Indian Army when we obtained independence. Where were we? We had some Gurkha units. Our army had no money. There was nothing called economy. We had nothing. We began from there. The Second World War. We were a poverty-stricken, underdeveloped, grossly underprivileged, grossly illiterate society. We had to rise from there. And if you look at, whether you look at even, let's say, all the Shastras and scriptures, there were women. Women have a huge, huge place in Indian society. And how have they gained that? They have gained that by sheer hard work, sheer, let's say, doing austerities, which we can't even think of. What I want to say with this point is that women can achieve. We are achievers, but we have to put in a lot of effort in order to gain what the males do. But every time I think about this, and this is one thing that I always point out, that we can't push down people in order to rise. That means we can't push down the males in order to say that I want to rise. We have our problems. At that time, when I had my baby, maternity leave was 2 months. Now it is 6 months. Is that an achievement? Yes. You can look after your baby. You can look after your family. Your whole body has undergone a change. You can get back into shape. You can do things the way this should be correct. Is that a change? It's a massive change. Ladies in the AMC and others are now getting to command. Look at Aparna. Great show, Aparna. Great show. But remember, there will be people who are looking up to you and they're wanting to follow you, and they will come. So if we do good, if we do, this is not an emotional outburst or something which is idealistic that I'm talking about. No, there are people who are looking at you all the time. And these youngster girls from schools and colleges, they are looking at your uniform, the way you are dressed, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, the confidence that you have. All that is going to bring forth girls into the forces. Even whether the child is the daughter of a rickshaw puller or of a vegetable vendor, that child is going to copy you, Aparna, is going to copy you, Neelu. Doctors, we are in plenty. We are not an issue. Issue is you guys. You guys who have been in the forces, in the Navy uniform, in the blue uniform, which we love, and of course, Aparna in our uniform, the greens, the olive greens. Right? So it is, I'm repeatedly saying that there have been giant strides which have been made. Let's not underestimate them. Our senior officers considered the ladies a very good team to have in various units. That is why they said, yes, please give them the 7 years more or 4 years more or whatever. So that is why it became plus. So now instead of serving for only 5 years, they started serving for many more. And now they've been given permanent commission. How did they get that? Because men realized, the men who were commanding, they realized the potential that these ladies had. They realized that these girls are capable of doing so much. So see, that is realization. Let's look at the positive things. Those guys have allowed us to grow. Now, you'll say, why did she say allowed us to grow? Because we were actually sitting behind. Now we have put one step. So we have taken the helping hand and we have gone up further. We have worked hard. Nothing to underestimate the girls, the amount of work they have done. They have pulled us. Today, in the army, they have also taken CMP, ladies in the CMP. That is, as you know, military police. That's an achievement. You in the police forces have lady constables. Here in the army now, we have them. Look at the numbers of ladies who are pilots. Not just pilots, even in the others. Mind you, they are all officers. They have not been taken into the crew. There's one point I would like to tell you all. Remember, when in the infantry, the people, the battalions, the men, they are living in very distant, far-off lands. They are sometimes able to get very little leave and come home. They are already inundated with problems from home. As a result, let's say their mental makeup becomes a little haywire. And so what happens is that when there is a lone lady over there, that lone lady becomes the sinusia or the focus of attention of all these 800 men in a battalion. Not a good thing. Let's be realistic. Not a good thing. How can she protect herself? Do you think that the commanding officer has to look after her or has to look after the entire battalion and go into operations? You tell me. So we have to be realistic in our way of thinking. We have to go forward, but with all the positives in our mind. Have there been any changes? Yes, of course. Those changes have been there. That is why men have changed their thinking. That is why we have come up so much. And believe you me, when the ladies take up these higher positions, there will be tremendous changes, and the changes will come. Aparna is there. She is one of them. Whether I should or should not say it, I was there. The only lady who commanded 153 GH. So it is not that you will not get a chance, you will get your chance. Other thing, remember, climbing up is a pyramid. That man who has gone to the top, who's become a general officer, he has also climbed. There are so many people from where he has gone up and taken that post, right? So remember, of all the ladies also, it is difficult. It's a very difficult task for them. It's a difficult task for us. If we want that our nation goes forward, we have to hold the hands of the men. They have to hold our hands tight, and we have to walk together as a team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patyal. We have a number of questions from our audience, but unfortunately we've run out of time and I've been asked to close the session. So thank you very much to our audience as well as to our panelists. This has been a very, very productive session. It's left a lot to think about, a lot to action, and hopefully this conversation will serve as a catalyst for the much needed change. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gunjan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gunjan. Thank you, Neelu ma'am.
Thank you, all of you. Great interacting with you. You're youngsters. I have gray hair, but enjoy listening to you all. Best wishes.
Thank you so much.